Everybody, we're back with a great garden project. This is a mobile veg trug, and it's basically like an Italian vegetable cart, and it's a trough, basically on legs. And what I've decided to do is put some wheels on the front of it, so I can move it about too. So I'm just drawing some dimensions here. I decided to make it 3 feet wide by 5 feet long. That seems to be a nice dimension. And what it is basically a trough, so that you can put your rooted vegetables in the center of the bin, and then the lettuce and chard and bok choy and the like would be on the outside edges. The vegetables that don't have a deep root system. But when I did plant this, I put parsnips and carrots in the very center, and they'll go deep into it. So I'm just figuring out some designs now, and I want some handles to stick out through the back of it. And I want the top of the table to be 30 inches, and that's so that whenever the crop starts to grow, it's easy to prune and get to and weed. And what I've done too is there's a thing called there's a system called 1 foot gardening, where you plant high density, and you kind of sprinkle your seeds and just take your fingers and spread them around. And that's what I've ended up doing with this. So I've made a run down the center and put my carrots and radishes and parsnips down the center. And then on the two outside edges, I had lettuce and bok choy, 2 or 3 different kinds of lettuces. And I've done that on the edges. And you can see I put a wheel in the front there. Yeah, it really reminds me of an Italian vegetable cart. So if you ever been to Italy and you see these in all the markets and on the streets. So, and I'm going to make this out of 5/4 decking. So it's 5/4 by 6. And I'm using cypress, so I don't have to worry about rot. So there, I'm showing you the bin, and here's my interpretation of what a vegetable looks like. And these would be the rooted vegetables that would go down deep in the trough area. And we're 22 inches deep in the center. And then it comes up on a 45, and then the outside edges will be 6 inches, because it'll be the 5/4 decking by 6. And I used 6 10-foot pieces to build this project. So if you're, and then I used some 2x4s that were cedar. So there it is. I did a temporary planting just to get some pictures of it. And so there it is there before we put any dirt in it. And you can see I painted it all white, just the outside edges. So follow along if you're interested to see how I put this all together. And then you see that there's the decking. It has a bit of a radius edge on it, so I'm just trying to find a circle right now. So these will be the 2 end pieces. And what I'm doing is, and this will be the handle. I've softened that up a bit, but so I'll just proceed to cut that out, and then I can use that as a template and marry it up against the other one, and then cut a mirror image. And a jigsaw works great on this. You know, there's not a lot of detail cutting on this. And I'll just cut that out, and whenever I do a freehand drawing, it's basically just something that I can get close to, and then you can refine it. So there it is there. We cut the other one to match, and I'm just doing the spreaders now. And they're 3 feet wide, and then the gap between will be 5 feet long. So that's basically what you're looking at there. That is the box of the planter. So I just marked out my centers. And I'm just trying to figure out my height here. So I just put a temporary there, and I want to come up to the bottom on a 45. So, and I'm putting this together, so I'll just put a couple of temporary screws in it to make sure everything's square. And then I'll take those out, and what I'm using is timber framing screws. They're extremely hard, and they've got a great big washer head on them. They're designed for timber framing, and you can get them at your builder's supply store. And as you can see in the top there, and these timber frame screws are the top ones were 6 inches long, and they go into that board. And I'm just going to put a temporary one there to hold that as we start to put the end pieces on and back and forth. I want it to look as uniform as possible so that the planking is following all the way around. I could have went vertical on the end too. I could have built a panel and just gone all vertical up, and that would have worked as well. But I like the look of this. But if you wanted to, you could just go vertical. And then attach your planking to the vertical pieces. And I'll just follow all the way along. And it's important that you have a gap in these because these will swell and expand. And I want the air to be able to get into the soil so that it's just not going to be a great big wet mess. If you notice on the end there, if you're working by yourself, what I did is I put a screw out about 1/8 of an inch to 3/16 of an inch on the very end of the plank. And then what I can do is just push the end into the plank, and then I can screw the other end. So there's the, so on your end pieces with your bottom apron, the apron is the size of the garden box, and then you start tapering it in. So I need 4 planks to go all the way up. And what I'm doing is just putting in some temporary screws until we get everything in place, and then I'll change some of those out and put in timber framing screws. So there it is there. I've done the planks on the side. They go all the way to the bottom. If you notice the very top one, I had to cut one down to 2 inches. I split a board in half. And now these are my vertical legs. These are the ones that don't have wheels on them. So these will be 30 inches. And they'll be sitting right on the soil. And then the other ones, I've cut the vertical pieces down an inch and a half to allow for a wheel. I put these on leg bolts, so 2 on the sides, and then I've put one through a long one onto the pan on the inside. But these are 3/8 leg bolts. And I'm just making sure this is level with the bottom. And I'll be putting this together with timber framing screws as well. If you didn't want to use timber framing screws, you could make a notch and lay that in. So I'm just making my own wheels here. These are exterior plywood. I've just set up a jig on the bandsaw, and I'll make a couple of wheels. They're there, and what you do is just put I'm just using a drill bit, and just put that in. So these are the 2 verticals for the front, and like I said, they're an inch and a half shorter. And what I'll do is just put a 3/8 leg bolt through, and then I'll put a washer on that and nut, and then mount those on. And what I've done with them too is that I've sealed the edges with Titebond 3 glue. What they'll do is make sure that they're waterproof. And once I got the bin into place where I was happy where it was going to live, and then I just blocked up the wheels so that there's not a lot of pressure on the wheels. These are basically just to move it around if I want. And you can see I'm just going to lock down the leg bolts. Just give them a snug, and then I'll slide the wheel on, and then with a washer, and I will put a lock nut on it as well too, so that the wheels don't spin off. If you notice all the wood, it's the vertical pieces, I've taken the time to make sure there's no knots. It's all clear. And this is all built out of cypress, yellow cedar. So I just crank that down, and then I can slide my homemade wheels on, and these are 6-inch wheels, and they'll be projecting an inch and a half past the leg. And I made the hole is about 1/16 bigger than the leg. These legs are full cut, so they're 2 inches by 4 inches, because there's going to be a lot of weight in this unit, even though it's tapered in the center. But and not too snug. I want the wheels to be able to move, and then I'll just put a lock nut on that. That will lock it all up. If you've never used timber frame screws, like I said, go down to your builder and take a look at them. They're expensive, but they're hardened steel and they're designed for timber framing. And you've got a big washer head on them. Make sure if you do buy some, you have to buy the bit for them. You need a special driver bit for them. But they come in lengths, I think right up to about 16 or 18 inches long, and all different sizes. They, I think the smallest they make is about a number 8, and then they go up 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So here I am just tightening up that lock nut, and just making sure that they wheel again. There they are there. That's the front of it. And it'll be the same as the back. We'll run 2 screws sideways. And you can see the timber framing screws there, how they pull in. So these are 6 inches long. And that's the support piece for the bottom of the bin, plus the bin of support at the top. So what I've done is I'm running 1x3s along the bottom. These are on an angle, and what this will do is stop it from racking back and forth as you move it around. Plus it transfers all the strength. If you notice, I've butted them right up to the legs on both sides, and that'll just give it a little bit more strength. And I'll end up putting 2 screws into each one of these, and these are an exterior screw. They have a washer end on them, and what I'll do is mount that, and what that will do is transfer a lot of the support, so it works in the same way as a truss that you can get weight. And then on the bottom I'll be running another cedar board directly down the center of it and screwing it to the bottom of the cross members at the legs. So I'm just showing you here on anything that's go down in the dirt. If you've seen any of my other videos, I always coat them with exterior glue. And what this does is it seals off all the end grain of the wood. It'll do 2 things for you. It'll stop the moisture from going in, and the glue will go into the air pockets of the end grain and make them extremely hard. So you'll get a really hard system in the end, and you'll avoid splitting or breaking, and it'll stop the moisture from going in. So I'm just giving it a coat of paint. So I'm only painting the apron portion 1 board down. I don't want to paint the inside the box. And this is just a white gloss paint. This is the second coat. You can see this decking really takes paint well. And I've sanded everything off and refined everything. I didn't show any sanding, but so there it is there. And this is a 3x5 trough, and they call it a trug. It's an English vegetable trug for the gardening. And I hope you enjoy this video. And I'd like to thank everybody for subscribing. We've had a great bunch of people give us comments and stuff, and appreciate that. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We've got some great videos coming up, and this is a good project if you're wanting if you're getting tired of getting down on your hands and knees. It's a good project to do. So once it's built, because there is air gaps on the side, and the landscape fabric mat that I'm using is industrial, and you can go to your garden center and ask them if they have industrial quality. This is a lot heavier. It's almost like a tarp. If you want to, you could buy tarp too and line the inside with a tarp. And what you want to do is punch some holes in the bottom of it so it doesn't carry a lot of water. This will bleed water through it, but this is a commercial quality one, and you can get these at your building supply. So if you can see, I've just cut the pieces on the end, and then I'll lay them on the side, just fold them over, and then I'll drop a bigger piece in between. I'm just using a hammer tacker here. I'll just tack it in place. You don't have to put a whole lot of tacks into it, because once you put all the dirt into it. And the first about 12 inches in the bottom of the trug, what they recommend to do is, I had a whole bunch of twigs and leaves, so I've laid that down the center, and that is so that it can compost in the bottom. So we've laid some, I had some cuttings from our grapevines and stuff, and some limbs, so we put that down the center, and then I laid some cardboard over that, and then we filled it with dirt. Here I am just tacking it up, and then we'll do the sides. I found with this, I just measured it and pre-cut everything. It just makes it a little bit easier. And when I'm doing it, I've laid it out so that these on an industrial mat, a landscape fabric, they give you, it's like a woven seam, and I've tried to use it in the areas where I can use the seam up, and I want that to overlap the corners. And I'm bringing it down about an inch from the top, because the dirt won't be all the way up. I just tacked it into place to hold it, and what we'll do is just follow all the way along with that, and put the rest of it in. Here you can see that I've got it all in, and my neighbor just dropped by, and we're just talking about the base of it, putting in some material on the bottom of it, so it will compost down some twigs and stuff, and then we can fill it with dirt. But you can see the mat on the side has been doubled up on the corner, so that dirt's not going to come out. And the thing that's really nice about these is that the planter box will really warm up out in the sun, which will start your vegetables earlier. And it's a nice height to work at. As you get older, you don't like getting down on your hands and knees, so it's a handy thing for that. It's a pretty looking thing too, so. But here it is, and I'm just making sure everything's down flat, and then I'll start to load it with the materials, and we'll get some dirt in it, which I've got some dirt in it. And what I've done is just put some plants in there so that you can see where it comes up to it. And there's some lettuce and stuff that will stay on the outside. And I've got some other plants on the opposite side there, and carrots and parsnips down the center. So I hope if you're a gardener, you take this project on and build it. And thanks everybody for subscribing. And if you haven't, please subscribe.